why Jesus cannot be God. Let's get right to it.
Cannot be God.
Number 10.
Number 10, the first reason, and we're going to try to go in a descending order. Top 10 reasons, working our way to the number one most important reason. The first reason, beginning at the beginning, that Jesus cannot be God. And the reason why we are going over this topic is because it's an issue of salvation. We want everyone to be saved. And this issue is a very important issue for Christians, Muslims, Jews, why Jesus cannot be God. And the first number one reason is that God cannot be born. God did not come into existence. He's always existed. He did not come into existence from non-existence. He was not born. He was not created. He has always been before there was even a thing called time. And as we all know, Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, was born. He was born without a father. Yes, indeed, that was one of his true miracles. But he was indeed born. He was in the womb for 9 months and he was born. So that by its very nature shows that he does not have the same quality and characteristics that God has. God cannot be born. Jesus was born. So those two people cannot be one and the same.
I would like to just start off by saying that he's absolutely correct when he says the two can't be one and the same. He's right. The Father and the Son cannot be one and the same. And as a Messianic believer and as Messianic believers, we do not believe that God the Father was born through Mary. No, we believe God the Son was born through Mary. And for the record, we don't believe in the Trinity, because quite often Messianics who has this understanding is accused or assumed to be believing in the Trinity. I myself don't believe in the Trinity. ABT don't believe in no Trinity. And a lot of the brothers that I've met over the years, when they got this understanding, do not believe in a Trinity. We believe that it's unbiblical. But to address the point of the Son being God, let's go to Job chapter 1 and let's visit verse 6, and it reads, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them." Now, we already know that we're dealing in a different realm at this point, because there is no way in the world that believers can come present themselves before Yahweh in the heavenly realm. So what is this saying? This is saying that one of the titles of the other beings are sons of God, Bain Elohim. And so this is really important to understand that the Jews were not monotheistic at all. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions that a lot of people believe. People believe that the Jews only believed in one deity, and that is totally false. But to back my point up, let's go to Psalms chapter 8 and let's visit verses 4 and 5. And thus reads, "What is a man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visiteth him? For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor." Look at verse 5. It says here that for thou hast made him a little lower than the angels. Let's look up the word angels in verse number 5. And it comes from Strong's 430 in the Hebrew section, and it says Elohim. So the angels are called Elohim. In order to understand Christ being God, you have to understand that the sons of God were gods themselves. And this bears out in the Hebrew text. Bain Elohim, the sons of God. And we know from the New Testament, when you go to Mark chapter 1 in the first verse, it says that the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That I already know that in the Islamic faith, they don't believe that God had any sons. But again, we are going to appeal to what came aforetime, centuries and centuries and centuries before Islam. And that understanding tells us that the Most High did have sons. Okay? So we have in Psalms chapter 8 that the angels are called Elohim, which are sons of God according to Job chapter 1 verse 6. And Mark 1:1 tells us Christ is the Son of God. If you don't want to believe what I'm telling you, let's take it even further. Let's go to Psalms chapter 97. And let's pick it up at verse number 7. And it reads, "Confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all ye gods." Now, we have to understand that idols, inanimate objects, cannot worship gods. This right here is telling angels to worship the Most High God. But we see here that gods in this verse is in all lowercase letters. Why? Because angels are not the Most High God. But this verse is specifically letting the angels know to worship the Most High. But they're called gods here. Angels are simply messengers. Angel is a title bestowed upon the lower gods. The word angel is a description of their job, which is messenger. But that's not who they are. They are, in fact, gods. But angel or malak, that just describes what they do. They send messages. Let's go to Psalms 138:1. And it reads, a Psalm of David. "I will praise thee with my whole heart." This is David talking. "Before the gods will I sing praise unto thee." Now, who in the world is David calling gods here? He's talking about the angels. This is who he's talking about. Let's go to the Septuagint version of this verse right here. Let's go to the Septuagint and let's see what it says there. And it reads, "I will give thee thanks, O Lord, with my whole heart, and I will sing psalms to thee before the angels, for thou hast heard all the words of my mouth." So we see here in the Greek Septuagint, it says, "I will sing psalms to thee before the angels." In the KJV, it says, "Before the gods will I sing praise unto thee." In order to understand Christ being God and being born unto Mary, you have to understand that the concept of the Most High having sons being called gods is not a new concept in the New Testament. You should know early before you go to the New Testament this fundamental concept. Otherwise, you're going to get confused. And this man was a youth pastor. I really doubt if this brother understood the New Testament before he jumped ship and went to Islam. I highly doubt that. If the father wants his son to be born of a virgin, that's his prerogative. You can't say, well, God can't do this and God can't do that. And you're going to see in the future from other places that this brother blasphemes when he says stuff like this. You cannot limit the abilities of an omnipotent creator. And that's exactly what Muslims do. So we see off the rip, when he says God cannot be born, that is a falsehood. That is completely false. Because from the Tanakh, we see that's false. Not the New Testament, but the Tanakh. Because the Tanakh guides us into the New Testament and gives us understanding on certain things so that we don't stumble once we get to the New Testament. Brothers are starting out in the New Testament. You haven't graduated from the Tanakh yet. And he didn't when he was a so-called Christian. I thank you guys for viewing this video. Shalom.